There is a saying, life begins at 40. My life began at 20. I always divide my life into 3 stages, now and then, before and after the war, and years in between. And this never gives me any peace of mind. It's spinning in my head like a carousel. You wonder how I survived, who was helping me in the most critical period of my life. I came to the conclusion, good people, good-hearted people. If not for them, I wouldn't have had a chance to survive. Among all those people, there was one I would like to tell you about. But unfortunately, I don't recall her name. What I do remember is her goodness and pleasant personality. She appeared in front of me almost like an angel. I feel more than obligation towards that particular person to whom I owe my life. In my hometown, Benjin, there was a large Jewish community. They did a lot for people in need. They organized a kitchen and provided meals. They built a high school where students could have the opportunity to obtain a higher education. In 1934, a large building with a 4-story structure was built and dedicated as a Jewish orphanage. It served the community for the next 5 years. And the lady who I mentioned above was the principal of that orphanage. In 1944, I met her in Auschwitz. She was assigned as a nurse to one of the barracks, number 2, which I was lucky in the circumstances to be in. In barrack number 1, next to ours, the girls, unfortunately, were not so lucky. Their nurse was very bitchy. I'd like to explain how she helped me in those crucial years. Arriving at Auschwitz from home, I still looked attractive. On my arrival, my clothes were torn off, together with my dignity in everything else. I was working in an ammunition factory at a machine on a standing position for 12 hours daily. Some feel affected my eyes, and I developed an infection. My savior took me to the doctor. He gave me some drops, and I was so-called cured. We had to march 4 kilometers to our working place, getting up at 3 in the morning to be at work at 6. In the meantime, we had to hurry to roll call, to be counted. That was in January, bitter cold in Poland. Naturally, we didn't have proper clothes for the weather. I tried everything to warm up. I sustained a deep chest wound in an accident. My nurse said, "You can't avoid the hospital. It is a must." I was speechless because I knew that from the hospital you seldom came back. On the other hand, I was relying on my guardian angel. I remember one Sunday, rest day. All of a sudden, an alarm sounded. Everybody out, quick, quick, form a line. We screamed in panic, frightened, shouting, what happened? In a few minutes, we would hear the answer. Dr. Mengele was coming to make a selection, to sort out who was fit for work or otherwise, to the guest chamber. Simple as that. Our saint stood in front of us, took out a small box of rouge, and with a piece of paper lightly colored our cheeks to look healthy. And patting everybody on the shoulder, she whispered, "Courage, girls, courage." For years, I looked for a trace of that great lady. After all, she was one of us, sharing our destiny. But being a nurse by profession, she had to carry out her duties. I didn't have a chance to express my gratitude to her in person for her care and modesty. At least I have still managed to put it on paper.